Hi there, and welcome to my video. Since Valentine's Day is just around the corner, I'm going to show you how I make two simple Valentine's Day cards. So the first card I'm going to make, I'm using my gel plate. This is a 5x7 plate, and I'm going to use a cardstock that is already scored. You can see it right here. It's basically watercolor paper that is scored as a card. I bought them pre-made that way. And I'm also going to use these three colors to make my base color. So the three colors are Payne's Gray, light olive green, and parchment. So I'm just using a stencil on top because I wanted to create a background for the card where everything would kind of rest on. I'm using some deli paper. It's basically waxed paper to pull up the imprint. And I am using two because I want to make sure that the plate where it meets the paper is clear so that there's a very clear design on the plate. So I let that dry, and then next I'm going to use Opera Rose. Just put a little smidge there. And then this one it's a peachy color. It's Naples Yellow Red. So I just wanted to have like a pretty calm color in the background with a pinkish vibe to it, but not too pinky. So rolling that around, and I'm just pulling the print onto the card. I did make sure that it's on the front of the card because you want to obviously have the image on the front. And then I'm just using a little paper towel to apply pressure without pulling it off the gel plate accidentally. So there is the background. Very simple. And you can use any stencil to do whatever design you want. The next thing I had in mind was to just add a little fodder to it. So I'm using the Distress ink, and I don't really want it to be strong. So I put a little on the paper and then spritzed it with some water to create a little bit of a textured background. And here I'm just drawing a heart. And kind of freehand, I'm going to cut it out and then I can kind of size it up for the paper. I didn't want to make it too big to start off with. So here's the heart. It's kind of in proportion to the middle of the paper, of the card. And I'm just going to glue that down. So it kind of gives me an anchor point for the rest of the card, how I want it to look. Next thing I'm going to do is kind of fill in the gaps there. The jelly plate is 5x7 and the card is cut a little bigger than that. So I just wanted to kind of fill in the lines of card that weren't printed on and also add a little more color to the card as well. But this is just all part of the process of picking the colors you like and the designs you like for the card and how you want it to look in the end. Whenever I'm using a stencil, I do like to identify some of the areas in the background just to kind of bring it forward so it's not such a monotone background. So that's what I'm doing with the Posca pen here. And then just adding a little more design onto the heart. I'm using a turquoise Posca pen. And then here is a gold Uniball pen. I have the gold and the silver and white. And I have to say the gold and silver are kind of like magical pens. They really work very well. They don't clump and they're very smooth. So I would highly suggest those if you're looking for a gold or a silver one. And then again, just filling it in over here. And these are just meant to be made in a few minutes. This card probably took me about 10 minutes to make. So you don't want to think too hard about it. A handmade card is a really kind of kind and thoughtful gift. So anything that you make, I'm sure someone would love to receive it. So there is the card. Very simple. You can use your jelly plate for so many things, and a card is one of them. So the next one I'm going to make, I'm going to use some paint. So I'm going to tape it down first just to stop it from moving and also to create a really clear line from the front to the back of the card. So these colors that I'm using are Opera Rose again and Parchment. I do like Parchment because it's a little bit more of a creamy color and not such a bright white like titanium white can be. And I'm just creating a background here. I'm not really thinking too much about how it's looking. I just wanted to get some color down without it being one solid color. So just creating a little interest in the background for the card. And just so you know, when I do these cards, it is kind of a decision process as I go. Everyone seems to think they should have everything planned out beforehand, but it's part of the process. The fun of it is to see where the art takes you and not be too rigid about how things turn out. So again, since it's a Valentine's Day card, I wanted to include a heart. And then I kind of thought about using the distress ink again, but on a stencil. So I'm just rubbing it on the stencil to get that print down and then spritzing it with some water. This does tend to get a little messy, but if you're okay with having a little bit of a grungy, kind of unclear look as a background, it's really a great process. So I don't know if you could see that, but a little close, more up close, you can kind of see the outline of that stencil print. And it just kind of gives an interesting base of that design for the card. So I'm going back in with a little white on top of it, kind of as a juxtaposition to the design and give a little more interest to the card. Nothing fancy, just having fun with some stencils. And again, you could use whatever stencils you have on hand. Just use what you have. So the next thing I'm using is this warm gray ink, and I'm just drawing a boundary around the heart with the ink where I think the heart will go to kind of create a focal point and give the viewer somewhere to look. Now I'm just using a basic paintbrush to kind of create little smaller lines with the ink, but also blend it in a little more. I would love using the ink. It's just, I don't know what it is about it. I think it's just so easy and free flowing and it's fun to use. And I just added a little titanium white to, I guess, what would be a little bit of a nest looking type thing, just to kind of bring out a little bit of the contrast between the gray and the white. So this is an archival print stamp pad, and it is fern green. I'm just putting some stamped images on the side there of the kind of nest looking thing. So there's a butterfly and kind of some leaves. And then this is just some script. It's like kind of nonsense writing in cursive, but it gives a nice little look to it. And again, fern green. And then going in with some details, just outlining some of the things to bring in some more color. This is with a Posca paint pen. So this is one of the more fun parts is just kind of going in and finalizing everything. I find that giving an outline to things can often give a little bit more of a professional finish or it just looks nicer. And adding some color, we've kind of been monotone up until this point. So I'm trying to add in some more color. This is a Sharpie paint pen, which is really nice if you want like a fine tip one. I really like these pens. It's just a turquoise color. And again, just kind of outlining stuff and giving it a little bit more pronounced look. and adding a little color to the nest. And then I'm just using a little glue stick to glue the heart down. And there it is. Nothing fancy, but it came out really cute. And this was an easy one to make. Don't think too much about it. Just have fun with it and use the supplies you have, and you'll make something beautiful. So, thanks so much for following along today. I hope this was helpful for you to make your own Valentine's Day cards. And I'm sure anyone would love to receive one from you. If you enjoyed this video, you can see another one just like it right here. And I hope to see you again soon. Have a great day.